We all have to agree. Got it. Again, just keep your cameras off if you don't want to be recorded. All right, welcome everybody to the Unmaking of Mills College, the betrayal of a beloved historic, cultural, and educational institution, and what it means for Oakland and the world. I know that sounds dramatic, but this is a very dramatic moment. All right, so I'm your host, Kristen Cavan. Maybe I'll, Joyce, why do you have the spotlight? Because you have the cool backdrop. I can do it. All right, hi everybody, my name is Kristen Cavan. Back at Mills, they knew me as Kristen Baumgardner. I have been an Oaklander since 1987 when I moved here because of Mills, and I've spent my life giving great things back to the Oakland community. So I was a cartoonist at Mills, and since then I've become an author and a publisher and a dance teacher and a school volunteer and a creative force behind many community events like this one, such as the Zorgos Awards for bully prevention, the Flourishing Artist Creative Convivia, the Carnivale at Lake Merritt, and a few Zumbathons at Oakland Tech and the Oakland Peace Center. Also the Heart of the Muse literary salons, and so much more. Currently, I'm the first California Writers Club writer in residence up at Joaquin Miller Park. And I'm not your typical Mills graduate, except I am your typical Mills graduate. There's something about Mills that creates leaders, that creates interesting alumni, women and otherwise, women of all genders, as I like to say. But tonight you're going to meet many self-discovered women and trans men who also found their voices at Mills. And thank you very much. Tonight we are using them. So the purpose of this presentation is threefold. Number one, to inform the public about the mess that's being made of an anchor institution in the community. Number two, to look at the reality of this great resource that's bringing big opportunity to our town. And number three, to invite you to take action if you're so inspired and work with us. I'm going to start with a brief introduction, bringing you up to speed on what's really going on at Mills that not everybody knows about. And you'll please forgive me, I'm running tech on 2 different computers, and it'll be seamless if it all works, but if not, please be patient with me. So in March 2021, the president of Mills College, Elizabeth Hillman, announced that it would be closing in 2023 because it was broke, and would be instead opening an institute on the campus. This came as a big shock to the community. First, they'd heard of it. And a lot of sound bites that came out in the news were very stunning, like, so woke it went broke. That was not true. There was an outpouring of ideas and support from the Save Mills Coalition. And this is I'm going to show you a clip featuring Renelle Brooks Moon, our wonderful A's announcer, this is a video that was sent to the board over a year ago. So.
We will not let Mills College fail. We are the Save Mills College Coalition. We are 300 strong, and we will not let Mills College fail. Mills must continue as a degree-granting college, and we know that together we can save it. As California grapples with racial, gender, economic, and environmental inequities, our historic liberal arts college is educating leaders that the world needs. Mills uniquely serves 65% students of color, 44% first-generation college students, and 58% LGBTQ students. Classrooms are full of transfer, resuming students, parents, and those balancing their education with work. Mills is the only college of its kind in the state, and possibly in the country, that offers an education for students who continue to be shut out of a rigorous liberal arts education. At this moment in history, there is more support than ever for a college like Mills. We know that many of you have devoted yourselves to our college, and we recognize the deep financial and structural issues Mills must contend with, but we do not believe they are insurmountable. Our coalition has been activated. We are committed. Our expertise is our gift to the college. Mills has turned out highly skilled grant writers, lobbyists, fundraisers, lawyers, accountants, policy developers, coders, marketing creatives, counselors, and business executives. And we are building a powerful volunteer staff. We stand with the Alumni Association and UC Mills to say with one voice, do not be the board who dismantles a minority-serving institution at the end of a global pandemic. Be the board who preserves California's incubator of diverse leadership. Be the board who saves Mills College.
And guess what? Let's see. And then guess what they said? Guess what they answered? Nothing. Crickets. Our pleas were ignored. So we wanted answers and we got none. There was a town hall meeting in April of last year where over 600 people demanded answers and were put down by a board member for asking the wrong questions. One more video here.
June 10th, 2021. We have asked nicely. We have politely questioned. We have demanded. We have rallied. Why will you not publicly explain your decision to shutter our school? Why are you determined to close Mills College in private? You have remained silent throughout this process. We will not be. Here are the names of all the trustees charged with maintaining the financial health of the school they now propose to close.
Okay, I just want to pause here on this slide and have you, Oaklanders, take a look at these people. Some of them are residents of Oakland. Many of them are not. If there's anyone that you know, or you know who knows, talk to them, ask them what they were thinking, because they've been absolutely silent. Some of these names you may hear in tonight's conversation. Eric Roberts is one, Conda Mason is another, Dr. Marilyn Schuster, Katie Sanborn. So just so you know, there's a cast of characters that are not present at this meeting, but they had one job, and that was to care for Mills College and keep it healthy. So at the June meeting that this was written for, we learned that the Board of Trustees voted to have Northeastern University take over the college. In the consent agenda of their meeting, there was no discussion whether to close our historic college, which you'd think would be a very big decision. For years, the president had been discussing partnerships. We had no idea she actually meant mergers. This particular deal is an acquisition, with Mills being the disappearing partner. You were hearing radio ads for Northeastern, for Mills at Northeastern by last July. It happened really fast. The college never hired outside consultants or experts to understand why it was losing money. We did. We learned that the college, three things, let's see, that the college did not, that the college, sorry, we learned that the college did not have to close. We learned that Mills is actually financially better off than Northeastern. And we learned that Mills will actually cease to exist if the merger goes through, which is scheduled to happen in 42 days. But the other thing you're not hearing on the radio, and none of the reporters who are writing about Mills's graduation or anything, nobody's mentioning the fact that the merger is not final, and it's taking a long time. So those are some things that I'd like you to have in mind as we begin. And I think this is a time where I'd like to ask everybody to, if you're not a panelist, I'd like to invite you to turn your camera off, and then we will have, I'll introduce the panelists with a quick question. So there's about 10 or 13 people, 10 or 29, and I will ask everybody what their experience has been at Mills, and specifically this past year. So panelists, please answer this just shortly so we can get an idea of who you are and what part of Mills you represent. And then after that, I'll ask three questions, and then we'll have a more of a freewheeling discussion about how we would answer those as a community. And after that, I would like to invite all of you who are not panelists to go ahead and put questions in the chat as they come to you and as you learn from things. And so then we'll have a chance to answer some of those questions as we continue. So going to move my own spotlight, and let's see, go ahead. And why don't we start with, let's start with someone who just last Sunday graduated from Mills College, and give a big round of applause for, this is Carla Fellows. Hello. All right, is your microphone on?
I believe it is, yes.
Oh, wait, one more thing I wanted to show the watchers here of my t-shirt. This is Mills's motto. Remember who you are and what you represent. And you're going to find a lot of people representing a lot of things today. So, so hi, Carla. Who are you and what do you represent? No, my question is actually what's your experience been?
I am the person for whom the Mills system was initially created. I am a middle-class white woman who was born and raised on the San Francisco Bay Area Peninsula. And I'm the one for whom the system works. I have no reason to, theoretically, I have no reason to not accept what Mills is or what they stand for. I have no reason to critically think.
What's been your experience as a student this past year? You're a graduate student in the MFA program.
Yeah, this past year has ripped the Band-Aid off, I guess, for lack of a better term. Seriously, my 5 years of undergrad were blissful. You know, I was just going along and I didn't really have any idea what was going on. My 2 years in the graduate program were when the blinders dropped, and I picked up bits and pieces of information and started putting things together and started paying attention and started thinking and critically and asking questions. And thanks to you, Kristen, and Danny, and Joyce, and Sally, and everybody else whose names I can't even think of off the top of my head anymore, I started seeing that we were being lied to. And it really kind of cast a pall over my last year.
No,
Um,
sorry about that. Well, congratulations on making it through and being part of the last class to graduate, or so they say. Let's meet Claudia Mercado. Will you tell us who you are and what your experience has been like this past year? Claudia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you
Okay,
see me now?
good.
Okay, I had it. Hi, thank you for hosting us today. I am a longtime Oaklander. I am a native to Mexico, but my family did immigrate to Oakland in '94 to 36 and International. So I've been able to see a lot of the transitions for Oakland. But this last year, getting involved to really fight to bring visibility and transparency to the situation at Mills College really empowered me as an Oaklander and as an alum. Because I do feel like this is going to be part of my legacy. I have devoted a year working with the Save Mills Coalition with other alums and discussing ways to think about ways that we can really empower people to realize the potential of Mills College. And we're slowly starting to do that, but I do feel like we're gonna be able to take it out of the shadows, because I feel like it's in the shadows currently with the current administration, and into a really bright future. So I guess last year there's been feelings of sadness and then mostly feelings of empowerment, and currently a lot of optimism.
Oh, that's great. All right.
Thank you.
And Claudia, you've also served on the board of governors for the alumni.
Yeah, I actually, just a little background, since you did bring up the Mills College Board of Trustees, I was nominated to be one of the 3 negotiated alumni trustee seats for the Mills College Board of Trustees. So I was supposed to step in January and represent the alum, which is over 25,000 alums. I was unfortunately denied our seat, and I wasn't able to serve. My idea was to infiltrate the Mills College Board of Trustees and bring some, fresh ideas, tap into my network, and really, see how I can be of service. But they didn't think I could be of any service, unfortunately. And they violated the rules that we negotiated. During the strike, we negotiated 3 seats for alums, and we currently have 2. So that was really clear to me that they weren't really willing to receive any help from the community. As a Hispanic Serving Institute, I felt that having a Hispanic on board and a woman of color from Oakland would have been beneficial. Just another quick note, I then jumped in to help the Alumni Association of Mills College as a treasurer to make sure that our association doesn't get tangled with the merger, because I do feel like we're a very powerful play, and we can be really instrumental as 13,000 or 25,000 active alums in stopping this.
Okay, thank you. And then we have someone else here who's also been highly involved with the Alumni Association. I thought I would introduce Alexa Pagonis. She's been a leader in this confusing time. Alexa, can you turn on your screen and say hello? And I'm going to rename you with your.
You're going to give me a space between my name?
Uh-huh. Would you like that? Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Do you see me now? Because I don't see anything. So
we see you. Go ahead and say hello.
Hi, I'm Alexa Pagonis, class of 1991. Been involved with the AAMC and the lawsuit for the lawsuit for the last year, AAMC as a board of governor for the last 6 years. And I'm no longer vice president. I did resign from that spot. And I don't know, what else do you need to know from me?
I think the public might not know that there was a lawsuit. We tried to sue for information. The college.
Oh, okay. Is that where we're going with this? Sure.
But I'm just really in 25 words or less.
Okay, so the alumni trustees are elected to serve both the Alumni Association and serve on the Board of Trustees. They filed a complaint in the Superior Court of California for not being given information that they rightly deserved as trustees. Many of the trustees, not just those that were elected, were not given all the information. There was a cabal on the Board of Trustees that was keeping information, and we went to court to ask for it. The judge absolutely agreed that all trustees deserve to see all information. And yet the college officers dumped 21,000 documents for the trustees to read, but not the specific ones that were asked. So this entire process of the sale, not merger, the sale of Mills College has been shrouded in a lack of transparency and lies. Lies to the trustees as well as lies to the state of California court system.
Okay, and one thing to point out that Mills, unlike most colleges, the Alumni Association is actually its own legal entity. So now I'm going to introduce Kieran Turin. He's the vice president, another vice president of Save Mills College, which was founded a year ago. Wait, is he here? Kieran? No, he's not here.
I'm here.
You are here. Okay,
Yeah.
there you are. Starts with K. Go ahead.
Yeah. We've been fighting for the past year to also get transparency from our perspective on what's happening at Mills. And the deeper we've gone into this, the more shocking the realization of how devastating this acquisition will be to Mills, basically turning it into just a husk, and as well as the many conflicts of interest by the board, by President Hillman, who's basically instituting a raise for herself and a definite promotion for tanking the college that she had a fiduciary duty to protect, and basically negotiating her salary with her new boss. So there's an absolutely abhorrent level of misconduct in this whole situation. We've tried to stay very focused on the details. We actually commissioned this report by a higher ed financial expert. We've been working closely with the AG to get their attention and insist that they intervene and pump the brakes on this devastating acquisition. So we've also been doing a lot of outreach to politicians and just to media, trying to get the word out. It's been difficult. We don't have $1 million plus a PR budget, which is what President Hillman is probably using our alumni donations for, the $9.4 million that the alumni raised just months before the merger. So we welcome you also to come to our website. That's savemillscollege.org.
Thank you, Kieran. Could Alexa and Claudia and Carla, could you guys keep your cameras on? I would like to keep the panel with their cameras on. And Julia, I love the picture. I'm going to let you keep your camera on because you got a great picture there. Okay, so let's also hear from, who's next? Who wants to go next? Stacy, I think your story is really crucial. Will you tell us what your experience has been as a parent?
Yes, exactly. So I'm both an alum and a parent. I was class of 93. My daughter should have been class of 23. So frankly, the last year has been incredibly tumultuous and heartbreaking. My daughter came to Mills because, I mean, frankly, she loved Mills more than I did. And, she wanted to come there since she was 15 years old. So initially, students were told initially that the school would continue to issue degrees and diplomas through spring of 23, which is why she came back for this school year, because she believed she had 2 years left, which is what she needed to finish her degree. And then they changed that on students partway into the fall semester and announced it instead after this spring 22, it would become Northeastern degrees only. Not only would it become a Northeastern diploma, but Northeastern is not accredited for most of the degree programs that Mills is accredited for. And therefore, students in any of those programs were told that they either had to choose a new major, which most of you know is not just a flippant decision that someone is making about their education, or they would just have to transfer elsewhere. So sadly, my daughter had to withdraw because she's an art history major and plans to go to grad school for that. Getting a degree in something else is not going to serve her at all. So she had to withdraw and enroll elsewhere, which is going to cost, she lost a year of school to this. And it's going to cost our family personally, tens of thousands of dollars extra for extra semesters of school to make up for lost credits when you transfer, things like that. And, tuition is higher at the school she has ended up in, and we are hardly the only family in this situation. She's hardly the only student in this situation. And so she is now one of the named plaintiffs on a lawsuit that was filed last week on behalf of all Mill students seeking restitution for the students whose educational careers have been frankly torpedoed by, as others have shared, an administration and board who doesn't seem to care. So that's my story.
Thank you. You were not expecting this at all to happen. Like so many students who signed on expecting one thing and then were forced to follow this other path. It's been very difficult for hundreds and hundreds, I think 800 students this year. Okay, a couple more people. We need to know, we need to hear from, okay, I think these are like my two of my favorite people here. Okay, I'm gonna go with Danny and then Joyce.
Right. Hi, I'm Danny, class of 2000. And my experience at Mills, we had a queer alum roundtable in January, and it took us like at least an hour and a half to put into words what Mills had been for us. And when we finally managed to get there, I think the quote that I remember the most, there's two quotes I remember the most, but they boil down to, as people who were, queer, genderqueer, not traditional age students, people of color, people with disabilities, like neurodiverse students, we were finally in a place where things didn't go every time we moved, where our existence alone, much less anything we might say or do, did not set off alarm bells for the people and the systems around us that we were moving in. And for a lot of us, it was a place where for once we didn't have to worry that other people might want to kill us.
And when you say kill us, you mean it literally?
I mean that literally. Yeah. Nadine Dixon put it really well. She's a Black queer alum, and she said, and I think she has lots of other isms after her name, as she put it, and she said, she was finally in a place where it was like, oh, you want to kill me? Well, hey, good for you. Too bad. You have to actually treat me with mutual respect. So, how the hell are you? Tell me about yourself. And I feel like that was what the experience that I had at Mills was what we don't get as marginalized people. We have this place that was created for us, or that came to become a place for us over time, a place where we have a right to the history there. We can say, this is mine, this belongs to me. I have roots here that I can drink up, that can fortify me, that can fortify my sense of belonging and worth in the world. And that's an amazing and really hard to explain thing. It's so hard to put that out there, I think, and that's been at the core of what makes it so hard to rally people around this in a way. And I think one of the things I've learned over the past year is that it's that same experience of being marginalized, oppressed people in the world that makes it so easy for some of us to believe that, of course it has to close. Of course it can't possibly make money serving the likes of us. Of course this was inevitable. And for people outside the college to not even question that, not even listen to our questions about it, it's so easy for people to just kind of like crumple back in being told, you know, well, now you're going to lose that. That's just like,
Wow.
it's a really intense experience, watching all of this slowly collapse in front of us and learning, you know, the thing I've learned the biggest thing I learned about myself over the past year might be that I can be shocked over and over again by each new horrifying thing that I learn about how much of this was done on purpose by
Danny,
members of the board.
Danny has been a real source of digging up information. This
I'm a
Jen has
research nerd.
this Jen has an amazing like mind that will just go and drill down and find things. So we're very grateful to have to have all of us come together and help each other. So thank you, Danny. Thanks for being here. A couple more people to introduce. Joyce Yee, can you talk about yourself and what your experience has been? And then after that, there's three more people before we get into the round of questions.
Yeah. Hey, Kristen, and everyone. Thanks for inviting me to be here tonight. And it has been quite a year. I graduated in 1990. It was the strike year when we actually reversed the decision to go co-ed. And so my passion goes deep because we did it once. I know that we can do it again and save this college. It is very near and dear to my heart. And I was recently asked the same question by a journalist, you know, why am I so passionate? And I think this year has taught me that really this is a place where we find our voice. And my daughter, who is 16, has been alongside me for much of this journey, protesting on the county, you know, court steps and protesting at the president's house and being with me through this whole process. And she is really finding her own voice and finding her power and making noise, you know, and I am just so tickled by that, obviously, but I'm proud to be a Mills alum because that is what we pass along. And now there's a lot of conversation about what is Mills, and Mills is really us. And I know it's not about a bunch of land or a bunch of buildings or a bunch of art, but it really is about us and who we are. And I am so passionate about passing that along to the next generation and the next generation after that. And so I've had the opportunity to work with the students this past year, very closely, getting to know them, being on campus with Shivering Jimmy's, and we can talk about that another time, and the famous Mills College chocolate chip cookie, and sharing the history of the college with the students and traditions, and even humming some songs together, and then helping them navigate the waters, which have been so muddy and tumultuous for them, and having them being heard. You know, that's the one thing that they wanted, was just to be heard. The college wasn't even giving them space to do that, and just so blessed to be able to provide that for them, to be kind of mom to these students. I call them all my kids because they are mostly younger than me, and so grateful that able to see many of them graduate, you know. But sadly, I think one of the things, well, we'll talk about a little bit later, but I got to meet a number of the students who had the courage to step up and be on this lawsuit. And so I'm so proud of them, and they inspire me every day. That is my experience.
Thank you, Joyce. So the lawsuit is a class action lawsuit, and I think once it gets approved as a class action lawsuit, all 800 students will be automatically included in it. So we'll see what happens with that. But we're going to give you guys links to all of these things. You'll be able to read up on them. But real quickly, drop some links in there. All the panelists drop some links. So just a couple, I wanted to introduce, there's just a few more people that are on this panel. Most of those who you've met so far have been very involved in connecting with each other all this year as we've been learning more and sharing information that the college isn't telling us. But there's a couple more people. Hav and Betsy, can you turn on your camera? I've invited someone to be on the panel who has not been, who just learned about this. And these are, well, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves. So go ahead. Okay, turn your mic on first and then go ahead.
I'm Betsy McCall, Kristen's classmate from class of 1988, and I have been reading about everything that's gone on. Unfortunately, Colin, do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Hav, and I was a post-baccalaureate student and had a little bit of overlap with Kristen, I think, but they're in 85 through 87. And I was a student in a different incarnation at that time, so I was perceived as female at that time. You know, I think the things I would like to say about my experience. So I was involved with classmates. We stormed Mary Metz's office and got the college to divest from South Africa. When the strike happened, we came back to campus and we camped out on the Oval. You know, I was sort of a proud lesbian at that point, and I felt like I had really found my voice. But the things that drew me to Mills were family connections. So my mom had attended as a nursing student at Highland Hospital, and there was also this sense of like safety, and so, you know, when I think about saving Mills, it's important to me because I feel in some ways Mills saved me, right? And so that seems to be the call. And so I'm really happy to be here and hear more about all the efforts and it feels like, you know, there's been a lot of obfuscation and lying, and we just know they're not telling us the truth. And so it's so valuable to hear you all and hear your experience. Thank you.
And I just echo that. I'm an Oakland native. The first time I stepped on Mills campus, I was 10 years old, and I said, this is where I want to go to school. And I managed to do that 12 years later as a 22-year-old, because I was both relating to the undergrads and to the resuming students, and it was the best 4 years of my life. I felt really safe there, safe to heal from the abuse of my childhood, and have met so many wonderful people. I was an AAR, an alumni admissions representative in Seattle for a couple of years, and I lived there from 90 to 92 and met other wonderful alums there, and just had such a great time talking to high schoolers and making.
I'd like to just interrupt and say AAR stood for
Alumna Admissions Representative.
And this was how Mills traditionally enrolled, did its outreach and enrollment.
Outreach, right, which worked, because what it was important for is for prospective high school students who were considering Mills to have a personal connection and see and meet and see the alums and have that vision of, these are cool women who, you know,
yes, and what who
I want to be like, or who have an interest in the same area I have an interest in, or who can mentor me, or if I go to school there and then come back to, you know, this area, there will be a whole group here to support me. And that was key, and that eliminated that program years ago. It was just a stupid move because it like didn't cost them anything. You know, like we don't get paid for, that's like a you know, an effort of love.
So we have slides that show that's where the enrollment started to drop, and that's where these problems started, and that this board never bothered to reinstate that program. I'm going to introduce one more person. So a lot of people I invited to come onto this panel didn't show up. This is a very busy time of year for everybody, and I really appreciate everyone who's here. But Janani, could you turn on your camera? We did have one representative of our city governmental happenings. So Janani, you can introduce yourself, but anyway, I'm really happy you're here, and we'd love to hear your perspective too.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the invitation. Hi, everyone. My name is Janani Ramachandran. I live in Oakland's District 4 and for a long time lived right around Mills College in the Lorelei neighborhood. And even though I am not a Mills alum, I have so many dear friends, community members, mentors, and teachers that were. And as someone that's a part of the LGBTQ community, I know the impact that Mills has had on Oakland as a whole, and the leadership, the community building, and resilience is a part of my own experience living building community throughout Oakland. And, I don't want to take up too much space today, but to me, what's going on right now, and I am still learning, and I'm excited to be here in this space to learn more and more, is what I see happening is what's happening all across the city. An example of how big money interests are trying to control the will of the people. And this is the story of so much that has happened in the city of Oakland for decades, probably longer. And to me, in the same way that Oakland has been resilient throughout the decades and has fought the power in so many different ways, I am honored to see that spirit and that fight go on right now here with Mills. And the inclusiveness, the resilience, and I keep saying that word because it really is what I'm seeing embodying this. I'm just so excited to see this movement make an impact over legislators and at all levels, at the state, local, and even federal level, that are trying to turn a blind eye and listen to the will of the people. I used to serve on the City of Oakland Public Ethics Commission, where I saw a lot of the corruption and mismanagement of funds and political insider gamesmanship try to play a role in the city. And I know that we are stronger than succumbing to these powers. So thank you all for all of your work, and I'm going to continue to learn and grow. And I'll just end by saying something that Kirian had told me, someone who's taught me a lot about what's going on and the activism and the movement, is that we need, in Kirian's words, we need Mills to take up more space in the world and impact the world, and not let the forces of the world and our society and our hyper-capitalism destroy the power of Mills. We need to push things the other way around, and I see that happening. So thank you all.
Thank you, Janani, and I'm really happy you're here. Janani ran for Mia Bonta's seat, and now she is running for, is it district, which number? I always forget, I'm in one or the other.
City Council District 4.
Right, thank you. So, okay, it's 7:43. We'll probably go a little past 8, but I really wanted to open this, I did this event to open the conversation of what this merger, I just say it because it's shorter than saying acquisition. But that took a long time to explain. So now I've taken all this time focusing on saving one syllable. But anyway, what will this mean for the community of Oakland, which, as Janani mentioned, is also facing some very devastating actions on the part of some very top-down actions on the part of the school board, which suddenly decided to close 18 schools, I think 17 schools, and the community is just reeling from that. And to me, there is a connection between both of these styles, which don't feel very Oakland to me. This is a community where people talk to each other, people work to be in integrity. And when you have a mayor who is very a huge fan of rematriation, on the other side, we have something happening where they're already planning how to redevelop the Mills property. It's beyond comprehension. So here are my questions for Oakland. And I also wanted to say, I appreciate there's members of the press here. There's other community members who are working towards or in public office, and teachers. And I really appreciate you being here. So here are the questions that I have for you. I'm going to say 3 questions, and they will show you the way I want this conversation to go, in a way that this will be recorded, that will inform other Oaklanders of how to start thinking about this. So first of all, how do you see this acquisition affecting Oakland? How do you see this acquisition affecting women in general and what's happening with women in the world right now? And what are your greatest concerns around the merger? Okay, thank you. And if you want to just raise your hand to get it going, and I will just start by picking people, and then you can just jump in and talk. Thoughts? Don't everybody shout at once. Okay, I'll go first. John, and can you turn your camera back on? Okay, Danny, will you please tell us what the makeup of an average Mills student is compared to the makeup of the body of Northeastern University?
I can tell you work in schools. Like, if you don't raise your hands, I'm going to call on you.
That's right.
Okay, yeah, I can give you some rough stats. We've seen all of the great statistics about how diverse and inclusive Mills has become. And Northeastern, if you look up the statistics for Northeastern, it looks a lot more diverse than it is, because it says something, I want to say it's something like, 38% white. And then, but then if you look at the other, it'll say, like 7%, African-American students, and like on down the list, and all those numbers are incredibly small. And if you dig a little deeper, you see that the reason that they're only 38% white or so is that they count international students as a separate category. And this is not a nefarious Northeastern ploy. It's a common thing in college statistics. It is something that they could choose not to do on their own website. But that's what we've seen as we look at the culture of Northeastern University over the past year, is that it's not a liberal arts school. It's a school with a lot of sexual assault problems. It's a school with where there's about 10-20 students from Northeastern that have come to Mills for the spring semester to be on campus as part of a program that they had kind of hoped would be a lot bigger. And those students, I know, have talked about not feeling safe on the Northeastern campus as queer students often. I think to the question of sort of what effect this has on all of the groups that Mills is for, it's not only does it have a disproportionate gentrificational impact on the area around it. Like, I live in the Laurel. I live 5 minutes from Mills. We don't have the infrastructure for a bunch of frat boys to come looking for their weekend fun. We don't have room for the number of cars that they want to bring onto campus to serve the number of students that they wish they could have here. We are not set up for this. This is an area that's evolved around Mills. This is not an area that's evolved around a giant, like, mega national chain school. But there's also the sort of meta level that I feel like on some level actions like this are there to crush our spirits so that profiting off of the resources that we've built and the resources that are there for us can become easier the next time and the next time and the next time.
Thank you. Alexa.
I'm going to answer your question, but I'm going to change it ever so slightly. So, someone recently in the last year said, if you want to know what the future is going to look like, go to Mills, because you'll know what 10 years is going to look like now. because that's how forward-thinking Mills is. And I might make an argument that that is how Oakland is and has always been in its history. Oakland is full of activisms that have changed California, let alone the Bay Area. So that's what we will lose in terms of that. But the bigger question is not what we're going to lose. The bigger question is why we are losing it. Why is there a pattern of bad behavior coming from this administration? Why are we the 8th wealthiest college of our size being told to alums that we're broke? Why have there been systematic lies to our students and to our alums, which is a bad thing in and of itself, but why would our college leaders lie to the Superior Court of California, which is in fact a crime? Why is there so much deception and fast speed to put, and we could go on for, I mean, we have mounds of evidence of what we're saying. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is actual facts. And you can look up the facts at investigatemillscollege.com if you want. But there's a mountain of evidence that's showing this is happening with excessive speed. This is happening much faster than other mergers or acquisitions of other colleges. And so nothing about this is passing the sniff test. So my question, with all due respect, I love you, Kristen, but isn't about why, what we're losing, but why we are losing it. What is this that's happening that's forcing this takeaway? And that's what I would want to focus on.
Thank you. Those are big concerns. Claudia?
Okay, so I think, for Oakland, what it means for Oakland, Mills has been part of the city's social fabric. And I think that's what makes Oakland so unique when you think about Oakland's position in the world and the state in this country. And it is part of the Oakland DNA. And when you tell me that there's no room for Mills College or business case, it leads me to believe that there's some kind of agenda to completely gentrify Oakland once and for all, which is really alarming for the rest of the country because we have a large population of African-American people, natives, Latinos. I mean, we are one of the most diverse cities in the country. And I think that poses a threat. And I think that is a conversation that's taking place at a national level where we're all a little bit frightened about. In terms of women, the fact that we've been lied to and they thought that we weren't going to voice our opinion, I think they messed with the wrong crowd. I don't think they really understood what Mills was about. Because I really feel that they really don't understand everything that Mills has done for women. So I really see protecting women's colleges as a way to protect our country. I'm going to put a link here on the chat. And to Alexa's point, Congress is looking into how to save women's colleges. And President Hillman is part of a group of the Women's College Coalition. And they were told that Congress will be getting involved in 2023 to make sure we keep women's colleges afloat because they are a key to our democratic systems. So I guess in the greater scheme of things is how is closing Mills College potentially affecting our democratic systems?
Thank you. Much food for thought here. One thing that has, does anyone else have something to say? Oh, Joyce, I see your hand up.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to maybe bring it in to Oakland because as I was meeting with students this spring and heartbroken over what they're going through, one of the students who's in the lawsuit, she talks about how her experience as coming to Mills because of its incredible teaching credential program, and just over the moon being able to do that at Mills, and then to have it all taken away from her in an instant. And it was curious to me, and I went to the library and did a little research too, because that's how I am. But the education program has been around since the 1920s, right? It's coming up on 100 years. And when it started, the purpose was to get students into the classroom as fast as possible. And so there was a connection with the Oakland Public Schools that started way early on. That was, I think it was Fremont High, Oakland High, Oakland Tech, and Frick Junior High School. So we had students in these schools early on. And I'm a product of the Oakland Public Schools, and I'm grateful for that. I was poor and, a minority and raised by a single mom, and kind of did okay, and I found Mills along the way. And I think that what Mills gives these young students is the passion and that critical thinking and just the creativity that they need to take into the classroom. And I think Oakland is going to be hurting because they won't get this kind of teacher anymore. And we really don't even know what's happening now. Like the college is silent about what is the plan for the teaching credential. Is Northeastern going to get accredited? We don't know. And if they do, it could take 2 years or more, So I'm sad that Oakland might lose these gifted students in its working in its own schools, and that could affect the employment pipeline as well. So just putting that out there.
Absolutely. I did want to, I'm glad you brought that up, because they talk about the opportunities that this will bring to Oakland and so forth, but at what cost is the question that Oaklanders need to ask. And at a time when we are having a difficult time, staffing our public schools, to close an educational college is just beyond belief. And we have seen the Teach Up program that, the classes that will be offered on campus next year by Northeastern, if the merger goes through, which it hasn't yet. It's a lot of introductory level things. Introduction to theater, the theater program is gone. Everything is gone, the arts, the culture, everything is gone unless Northeastern builds it up again. And as Claudia mentions in the comments, that this is all homegrown. Mills is homegrown. It's been around for 170 years, and everything that they are destroying right now has very deep roots and very intricate relationships that that you can't just start up again. You can't just invent that. I also wanted to mention, to your point, that one of the big selling points for Mills is that we have all these, we're a college that is created around social justice and equality. Not equality, but social justice is kind of become a buzzword and a selling point, and nowhere do they ever mention women. But we are a gift to Northeastern because we have diversity. They don't have it in Northeastern per se. And so the idea of having this performative single program that has been preserved at Mills of racial and gender justice is very difficult to make that work just intellectually. So let's see if we have what I have. Ariana, my behind the scenes co-host there, who's watching the chats. Are you seeing any questions that we need to?
Yeah, Nana's had her hand up for a while.
Okay. Oh, before I call on you, Nan, one thing I did want to say, and this is a shout out to those on the East Coast who are working to help us. What's happening at Mills is something that's happening at liberal arts colleges around the country. And we have on our team friends of Hampshire College that was the movie. I forgot to ask, show of hands, if people had seen that movie, The Unmaking of the College. And we had somebody here for a minute and left, but I just wanted to acknowledge that this is a part of a very, very big thing. Okay, so Nan, I'd love to hear your opinions or thoughts on what will happen to Oakland. For those of you,
I wanted.
Nan, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yep. Okay, Nan Roche, class of 75. A couple of my classmates are on this call.
Yay.
Beth and Victoria. I just wanted to say hi. I think that what I want to bring to everybody's attention is the music department. And I don't know how many people are familiar with modern music. I grew up listening to modern music. It was extremely important to me. My parents listened to it all the time and they were thrilled when I came to Mills. The music department of Mills College is internationally renowned and was responsible really for the development of the whole arc of modern music. John Cage and, Terry Riley and, Gamelons and, everything. And that is going down the tubes. And the assets of that department, the letters of John Cage's, the tapes, the instruments that were created, all of that is part of that music department. God knows what is going to be done with it if the merger goes through. But my guess is that Northeastern is going to go around the campus, monetize anything that it can get its hands on, including, I understand, possibly the chandeliers in the auditorium, and sell it off to pay their considerable debts. And so I just wanted to bring the music department to people's attentions. I mean, our education department, extraordinary, dance, book arts, arts, so many departments at Mills College were outstanding, and the professors were outstanding, and they were outstanding when I went to college. And they changed me completely from a shy little girl to a fairly raucous tiger like little girl. So the music department is very, very, very important for us to keep an eye on, and pray that somebody manages to pull that out and save it somehow. And that's really just what I wanted to bring forth.
I see one in the comments.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Nan. Pamela T says all sports are gone. The Cyclones have been selling off their jersey. Pamela says my cross country team was my mental health program in college. I work up in Joaquin Miller Park now, and I just know that Mills cross country team has trained up there for years. We don't know what kind of sports Northeastern has or does, but who we're going to see on our trails is going to change. And I also there's a lot of Mills alumni who are working on the parks. Aurelia Henry Reinhardt had a park named after her. We could go on all night. There's much to say, but I did want to finish this up with a call to action. And I have a little video I can play of Alicia Garza speaking last year at Save Mills. But before I close with that, I would really like to hear from people. What would you like the community to know? What actions can you take today? And is there a possibility of stopping the merger and going back to Mills? What would that take? This being one administration of many. Go ahead, Kieran.
We are working hard to get more attention and more pressure on the Attorney General from our side, and that means we would like you to write the Attorney General's office, to write local politicians, have them call the California Attorney General and ask what's going on. Tell them you are very concerned about this basically illegal sell-off of a precious historic women's college and institution and over $4 billion of assets going to an out-of-state university that has no interest and in preserving its mission or really fitting into Oakland and honoring our diversity or anything else or values. So please, we would ask that you would go to our website, safemillscollege.org. There you can find the addresses and phone numbers, emails, Twitter handles for politicians, and really keep the pressure on there. Letters do count, phone calls do count. And we will also, also feel free to donate to our legal fund. We are still engaging our attorneys with the Attorney General and keeping the pressure on there, providing documents that are pretty, that expose the situation, expose what Hillman is doing and Hillman herself, how she's benefiting. So we would really like your support. Thanks.
Thank you. Just to boost that signal, I really appreciate you being here, Janani. We have not, and somebody said, in the chat, they're surprised we haven't seen more luminaries from the music department in the fight. We have not been hearing the voices of teachers in this fight because they've all been terrified. There has been an oppressive mood at Mills all year, where teachers are punished for speaking out about this. They lose their chairs, they lose their funding. That's happened many times. So we don't know what teachers are for Northeastern or just going along with it to save their livelihoods. As a matter of fact, there's been a huge suppression of speech around this that is of great concern. And we don't know why nobody has taken up the challenge to do, any from the reporters in the press to do more hard-hitting journalism about this. We have seen there is a huge PR machine at work by Northeastern. If you dig down in our materials, I'll put a link to millsrebelalliance.net in the chat. There's a link to a Ms. Magazine article about this that was actually taken down. What kind of power do you have to get Ms. Magazine to pull an article? And then it was put up 18 later saying, oh, it was fact checked, the facts are correct. But then there was a rebuttal, the other side, the positive side of the story from Marilyn Schuster, one of the board members, who has been very vocal in promoting the merger and very forceful in tamping down any dissent from other alumni. So, so thank you for the, we do need to see more politicians, more local politicians get very concerned about this. Okay, go ahead, Joyce.
Thanks, Kristen. Yeah, and along with what we're doing in the state, we are looking nationally to address Congress. And we know that if we can get enough, petitioners, we have a petition going to sign this petition to have Congress investigate what is actually going on. And that would be terrific. You can find that petition at all4mills.com. It'll take you right there. We also have a letter going out to specific Congress people, and we're asking for other politicians to sign this specific letter to give it weight. So if you have a connection with a politician, we'd love to reach out to them. Let us know, reach out to us, sign this letter, and your name, your politician's name will give weight to the letter that will go directly to these Congress people. So we're working hard on that on our end. I appreciate your voice involved in this fight. Thank you.
Claudia?
Yes, thank you so much. I also wanted to just let you know that I did drop a PDF file. You guys can see in the chat 1925 yearbook. And the reason I bring that up is because, like we talked about, Mills is part of the Oakland fabric. We've been able to be around for 170 years through intentional leadership. So that's a yearbook and a report that was put together by the class of 1924. It does talk about the endowment and how the endowment actually was funded by students, staff, and community members of the Bay Area. And that's also important to point out because Mills College does have about $230 million of an endowment. Currently, that has been built through the efforts of donors, and that's a validation to the donors' wishes. So that's also important. So please tell your legislators to honor the wishes of all the donors that come behind us that have made Mills possible.
Mm-hmm. Legacies. Danny?
Hi, I'm sorry, I'm trying to unmute myself and lower my hand. I wanted to say people are sharing fantastic examples in the chat of the irreplaceable programs at Mills that Northeastern is not accredited to offer, and which aren't their thing in the first place, and which it would be really hard for them to offer, given that Mills just laid off all part-time faculty, which is a huge chunk of the people at Mills who teach all of these programs. And one of the reasons that people are calling for Congress and the federal Department of Education, specifically, not just the Attorney General, who is also very important, but not involved in this particular chunk, to pause the deal and investigate it, is that according to the Higher Education Act, a college that's closing needs to find one or more schools that are close enough and teach the similar enough programs that they can teach out that school's programs. They can teach the programs that students are currently taking until they graduate, so they can actually complete their programs. We don't have that in this deal. This is something that, you know, the Western accrediting body that accredits Mills has not addressed publicly at all. When we've emailed them privately, they've said, well, I don't know, Mills could answer your questions better than we can. Beth Hillman, the president of Mills, is one of their commissioners as of last July. None of this part of it passes the sniff test. Additionally, Alexa made the point in the chat that the Board of Trustees has violated their fiduciary duty over and over in this situation. They have their only job is to run Mills, its finances, it as an organization, the way that they would their own business or their own affairs. They have just failed that or deliberately torpedoed it over and over. And that's the elephant in the boardroom. The deal is being rushed through incredibly quickly. There's this huge invisible pressure in our situation and no apparent reason for it. The president and the board have pushed really, really hard to avoid answering any questions about Mills' finances, which should be the easiest thing for them to address if the school needs to close because of financial reasons, financial problems.
And fixable too, right?
Yes.
Alumni raised $134 million 15 years ago, and it's possible and would love to do that again, I'm sure.
And instead
if they were asked.
And instead, when we've asked the administration, we've asked Hillman, what would it take to save the college? She's named numbers from 6 million to a billion, depending on, I don't know what, the day. Maybe she has dice in her pocket that she rolls. We don't know what makes her say one number instead of another. It could be anywhere in between. And when they've named specific financial problems in court because they had to, their own audits have made it clear upon examination that they were lying and misrepresenting their finances. So all of these things, I want people to know, you know, there are really, really, really good reasons to ask the Attorney General, to ask Congress, to ask the Department of Education, to ask the FBI to stop these people and just ask them a few questions and don't let them out of the room until they do answer you. You know, that would be a start. I really recommend, personally, if I had to pick what can people do here, I would say, you know, sign the change.org petition that I'm sure people have put right in the chat. And that is probably on all.
And then just follow your nose.
Yeah, I'd say sign that petition. I would throw some money at the Save Mills College Coalition.
Definitely.
With the hopes of perhaps being able
donate to Save Mills College. Yes, and absolutely.
I like throwing some money at investigatemillscollege.com because that's where the advertorials that are so informative come from. I say you do those 3 things, then you're doing a lot. There's plenty more that we can all do, but those are some good pivot points to shove.
Thank you all so much. I'm going to play our inspiring video, and if anyone would like to stay and talk after that, we'll keep the recording going, but I know that people have to leave. We'll send out the recording to everyone who signed up here, and thank you all so much for being connected, for caring, for coming on out to see what's going on. And sorry it's not great, but the great news is the merger has not been finalized yet. There's still hope, okay? Keep hope alive, keep Mills alive. Oh, wait, and I have one more. I getting a little chilly, so I'm just gonna put this on here while I put on the last video. Here we go. Okay, let me put on that next video here. Okay, all right, hold on a sec, here we go. Okay, mute off.
For those of you who do not like the change that you see happening around you, find the people who care about the same things that you do and join them. We have found each other and pledged not just to resist, but to be resilient in the face of extreme uncertainty and change. Keep your people close and learn how to grow your crew. Find the people who care about the same things that you do and join them. And then keep bringing in more people to help.
Thank you, everybody. All those organizations, everything's shifted around, but stay tuned and keep talking. So everybody can turn your cameras on again if you're still around. And let's all be in the room together. And you can unmute yourselves, and we'll give a big round of applause to all of our panelists. Come on, unmute yourself. Oh, wait, there we go.
I'm unmuted, but I can't on video.
All right. And so now if you want to, take a break, go get a glass of wine, we can have our after party and keep talking. I'm going to just go ahead and call on Cynthia Mahood-Levin, who is the president of Save Mills College. So hello, thank you for joining us.
Hi, thanks so much for having this and having Kieran on your panel. We appreciate everybody who has come tonight. It's a large group of panelists. It's really spectacular. I'm so impressed.
We are all part of a movement. It was hard to narrow it down to 13.
So one of the things I wanted to bring up, and I really love that we were able to pivot from the why should we save Mills, because we all love Mills so much. I think everybody's in agreement here of why we should do it, to what can be done. And what are the things we should be focusing on? So I was really delighted to see that as part of what you did tonight here. One question I have in studying and speaking to many people about what happened with Sweetbriar and how Sweetbriar was saved was there was a lawsuit by the faculty, and there was information that was put on, I don't know if it was a month or two ago, about faculty suing. Does anybody on the panel have any information about any faculty? And you don't have to out them here, because I know there's a lot of people here, but that would be something that I would be interested in talking to somebody offline about, if there are faculty that are unhappy enough that they would want to pursue damages like the students. So again, just looking for areas that we can lift up our faculty, lift up our students, and also at the same time protect the trust and will of a 170-year-old school. So I just wanted to put that out there if anybody has any information.
I can answer just a little bit. I don't have any positive information. I just know that they did vote to pursue a lawsuit, but this was several months ago. And then when the student civil suit came last week, I sent an email over to the union rep to check in and see what was going on. But there's still, and even at the rally that they had a week ago, it was sort of apathetic. It was just, yeah, we're waiting for the school year to end. I think I get the feeling that it's just been a ride and they're done with the ride, So, but I would love to put some fire under their feet. And if there's a way to do that, yeah, I'd love to fight for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's been discussions for the last year, but just nothing solid.
Nothing, right.
That's what I'm getting at. Is there really even just one faculty member out there that wants to pursue something because they're really like the students losing everything. And I think there are serious ramifications that are happening to the faculty. And I really would like our beloved faculty to take a stand and to say this is wrong. And we're not going to tolerate being treated like this. And I know, a lot of them have given us feedback that they've been beaten down for the last year. And so I think they're burned out. Yeah. So I hear what you're saying, Joyce, because it's the same conversations I've been.
And again, this is something that is happening all over the country. The whole movement of liberal arts colleges and other colleges to tenure fewer professors and rely on adjuncts who don't even get health insurance is really like a bigger part of a much bigger crisis in education. But it's not going to change unless people, stand up, fight back.
And I would agree with that, with the caveat to what Alexa said, because that's what Matt Hendricks pointed out to us in his data, that we're the 8th wealthiest school of our size in the country. So when you see schools like Mills, at Wells College in New York that was about to go under, they actually were in trouble with the accreditation. They only had a $30 million endowment. They couldn't actually pay their bills. And so I think what we're seeing at Mills is, from our perspective, from Save Mills College Coalition, is a very, very different scenario based on these other schools that really, truly, I think, are struggling. But I could be wrong. There could be other examples of what you're talking about, Kristen, but I'm not aware of any.
Oh, yes.
And this is Claudia. I just want to point out that I did talk to a staff member. He's in the IT department, not a professor, but he himself is part of the LGBTQ community, and he feels threatened with the current culture that is actually taking place right now at Mills College through the administration. And he is fearful for being laid off because of his medical condition. So I think, Mills administration is also probably violating some employee laws, the way they're treating. It was mentioned to me that Northeastern's HR is already on campus trying to address concerns of the staff members. And I really believe that's really unethical. And that's not the right thing to do.
Are there any other Oakland community members who are not part of, the inside group of Save Mills, who this is new to, or who might have some questions that, that we haven't addressed yet? If not, that's fine too.
Don't worry about if you think your question is too basic or you're too much of a newbie to this, or your brain is swimming with everything that you've just heard. What there are, like, everything is something we've either asked or are still wondering about. Anything you want to throw out there is welcome here.
And I do want to say that there are a lot of people who will be viewing this video as a recording. And so to those people, I just want you to know that we are all here happy to answer your questions. All you have to do is write to one of the emails that is going in the chat. We have, we'll drop our emails in the chat. So if you want to connect with us.
This is Nan Roche here, 75. I'm not, I'm just an alum. I do want to say that in no uncertain terms that we really have to fight hard about this. And that means kind of opening your pockets and finding other people who can donate and give money, and then focusing on the two entities that have a chance, just a chance of being able to stop this. And that would be the U.S. Department of Education, Inspector General's office, and the Attorney General's office. Those two entities are really, in my view, this is in my view, the prime focus. I'm not sure what congressmen can really do about this, but the Department of Education is being directly defrauded. They put money into this school and they're being lied to about its health and so forth. So I just want to encourage everybody to really get on the horn now. It's now or never. You know, if we want to save this, we have to put every bit of our effort into it, everything we have.
Well, thank you for that shout out, Nan. I think that's absolutely 1,000,000% the way to go moving this forward, because we're running out of time really quickly. And there's a lot of information that we can give Rob Bonta, but we have to go through our attorneys. So we need support. We need financial support. And so we're just trying to answer all of their questions, and but that takes work. So please, please, please help us get there. And please know we're working really, really hard with our attorneys to get the information that Rob Bonta's team needs in order to intervene.
Mills could use all its angels right now. And it's a difficult time because we are not allowed to talk to each other right now. And it's very difficult to connect with each other. Yeah. But keep reaching out to anybody you know in the Mills community. It's, you know, it goes better person to person, peer to peer, and share what you've learned and keep hope alive. We have, what we did in 1990 made history and was remarkable with our student strike. But what I'm saying is that was just a rehearsal. This is a much bigger problem, and our solution will be much greater. Not only envision that we actually find a governmental person of integrity who says, I'm sorry, we need to stop this right now. And then imagine Mills having to find itself again, restart itself again, find its soul again, and live in integrity with what it's always been and what it's meant to be. And then imagine Mills showing the rest of the world how it's done, because we're not alone in this. This is a time when women and women's roles in society are absolutely crucial to the future of the planet. Educating women is number 3 on the list of things that we can do to stop global warming right now. And so it's crucial that we continue to be there as a very strong voice for women, a voice for feminism, and a voice for women-centered spaces and women's leadership in the world. So thank you all so much for being here tonight, for leaning in, for all the work you do. Let's stay together, and let's keep in touch, and let's save Mills.
So much. Thank you for hosting us.
You bet.
Thanks, Kristen, for putting it
Thank you,
together.
Kristen.
Good night,
Thanks,
everybody.
Kristen.
Yeah.
Thank you. Did a great job.
And happy to do this again if we need to.
Yes. Hey,
Great to hear
Kristen.
from all of you all.
Thank you.